The Ukrainian crisis has polarized world attention. It's weeks now that 100,000 Russian troops are stationed at the eastern borders of Ukraine with the apparent intention of invading the country. After several meetings between representatives of the two fronts, no agreement has been reached, while the situation now stands on the edge of a cliff. Until recently, we heard about heavy economic sanctions as retaliatory measures from the West alliance against Russia. Now we are quite sure of military action, considering that 8,000 American troops are in high alert, ready to be deployed in aid of NATO in the event of war in Ukraine. On the situation, we talked to Oleksiy Rutlenko, who is a Ukrainian research scientist working in University College Dublin. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to interview you briefly on your country, because you are a Ukrainian living here and working as a research scientist here in Dublin. What do you think is going to be the outcome of all this impasse?
So in my country, everyone is really very worried. Well, the wars have not started now. It started in 2014. It lasts now, but now it's kind of cold situation when people can live normally in most of the territories except on the east of Ukraine, which is occupied, and except of Crimea. So, but in the rest of the country, people get used to living in some sort of danger, but this is still more or less normal life. And they're very worried that now their all normal life can end. So, because now what's happening, this is not a problem of Ukraine, this is a problem of aggression on Ukraine. And people inside the country are scared, and to some extent they try to prepare. Some of them are going to understand what will they do in military service potentially. So people are scared, and the bravest one try to prepare for the worst. But in principle, we have nothing to do just to sit and wait for what is going on in the head of one person, Putin.
Yeah.
So because all this crisis came from this head, all this crisis is now this in head, and all this crisis may escalate only if he decides to.
Yes, there is a kind of blaming game on both sides. He blames the West blames him. You know, it's quite an intricate situation now, which has set in. You know, and do you think that they will invade?
No one knows that. So yes. In principle, no one knows that. This is absolutely 50-50 because we don't have any idea what's going in the head of the president of Russia. So it's like, you know, you're standing on the cliff and you either go step back, step forwards, and you don't know. Yeah. So, and I completely don't understand the blaming from the side of the Russia, because in principle, all the tactics was that there are some president will be elected in Ukraine who will have pro-Russian attitude. But there is no chance for a person in Ukraine to be elected as a president having pro-Russian attitude. And as soon as Putin understands that this will not happen, he's going to invade. So he either plans political invasion. If it doesn't work, he plans military invasion. Yes. I don't know what will happen. But this is both sorts of invasion. In his head, I don't know how he sees it. But in Ukraine, it sees completely this way. So this is not a problem of something wrong with Ukraine. The only our problem is the country on the east, on the neighborhood. And this is a big tragedy. My only hope is that somehow this will de-escalate. I'm not going to say things come back to normal, no. But I just hope that it will be available to avoid a huge bloodshed for which we are just half step from it. And I do pray for it every day. That would be really catastrophe for all the Europe. And I just hope it will not happen.
Thank you very much, Oleksiy. In Italy, no white smoke yet in the elections of the President of the Republic. Mostly blank ballots were cast on Monday in the first round of voting, thus ending in a political stalemate. Nothing new in Italian politics, considering the intricate forces and political interests at work. On the eve of these somewhat troubled elections, Berlusconi withdrew his candidature for the presidency, but he promised that if Draghi is to be elected, his party, Forza Italia, will pull out of the present government coalition, thus bringing the country to new general elections. Political furore is still raging in Westminster about Boris Johnson, accused of participating over the past 2 years in allegedly celebrative gatherings in the premises of Downing Street, in breach of lockdown restrictions prohibiting such gatherings. An official inquiry has been going on to ascertain the truthfulness of these events, while Scotland Yard has also started its own investigation. While pressure has been exercised on Boris Johnson to resign, it is not clear what will happen once the two concurrent inquiries are completed. Those who support Boris Johnson are inclined to excuse him, saying that he has been a great leader in delivering Brexit and driving the country out of the pandemic with this massive vaccination program. In many European countries, including Britain and Ireland, people are up in arms for the increasing cost of living, exacerbated by higher cost of energy bills for gas and electricity. Incidentally, should there be military confrontation in Ukraine, Europe will register mighty losses in terms of Russian gas supply, with the consequent higher prices for gas, which will inflict further pain on the consumer.